Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Jason McMullen,
Present.
Micah Thomason, Joel Gardner, Steve Smith, Cameron McCarron,
Here.
Jim Ulmer, Greg Collier.
Here. All right, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last month? Any questions regarding those minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, doesn't look like we have anyone for comments from the audience. Let's visit quickly on Manny Gonzalez. He wasn't able to be here today. I know that his reason for coming to us is the sales have been slow at breakfast and he wants to move his hours back. I'm assuming lunch and dinner.
He's talking about like 11 a.m. to either 5 or 7 p.m., maybe 8 p.m. for Friday or Saturdays.
Okay. I know that in asking this question to several people around the airport that it is slow in the mornings. I don't know from a marketing standpoint what he's doing or what he's not done as far as trying to generate business in the mornings. But well, first of all, let's go through any comments from the commissioners.
The only thing I'd have to say is, from what I've seen, he's a great tenant. He is bringing in a lot of business, a lot of foot traffic to that airport. And everybody that has eaten at that restaurant has always had good things to say about the service and the food. So the quality and service and the tenant are exceptional compared to what we've had in the past. So just want to keep that in mind.
If there's no breakfast business, then there's no need to be open, so.
And I agree with that. I just want to make sure that he's done his due diligence to try and bring a breakfast crowd in. And also, is there a concern, Daniel, from airport staff or folks that are flying in and out earlier that we wouldn't be able to serve them?
No, I don't think he would be doing a disservice at all. It's like I said, it is pretty slow in the mornings.
Okay. Will you ask him to come back and see us? Because I'd like to I don't have a problem moving breakfast hours back. We could actually discuss that today and vote on that if we wanted to. But I would like to get hours set farther back in the day, not just closing at 5, but locking in Friday and Saturday. When I went Friday a few weeks ago, I was there at 6:30 and left about 7:30, and it was packed. So I feel like, and he knows it better than I do, that's his business, but I feel like if he stays open a little bit later, he's going to reap the benefits of that. So I'd like to if we're going to adjust his contract, I would like to get it all done at once and extend his evening hours.
Right, that's what he's saying, that when they get there about normally between 7 and 7:15. At least his two boys do most of the morning prep and everything. And he said by 11, once the lunch run starts, they're tired from standing around and not really doing anything. So he would prefer 11 to 7 Monday through Friday, and then possibly 8 p.m. on Saturdays, unless people want to stay later. He's willing to do that too, but he doesn't want to do 8 in the morning to 8 at the evening.
Yeah, that is understandable, but we can't really make a decision without him here to agree on the hours he's going to work and keep it open. So I'm okay if the commission is okay. We can vote on this today, but I'm okay with moving his hours back 10 o'clock, have him open at 10 o'clock for the short term, and then if he wants to come next month and visit with us, and we can adjust even a little more if we wanted to in the AM, and lock in PM and the weekend as well.
You said you're here on Friday. Is Friday night a busy night for them too? And if it is, then maybe make Friday night at 8 o'clock and Saturday night 8 o'clock both.
Yeah, I think he'd be willing to do something more to that, but he said a lot of people that come for lunch would like to, they can't always make lunch because of the time frames and what have you. So they would rather come for dinner, but on the normal day, he tries to get out of there by 2 o'clock, his normal time, because he's wore out from the mornings. So Friday's their one day that they stay late, 8 to 7 or 8. And then Saturdays, he's been doing 11 to 7, most of the Saturdays.
Well, if a commissioner is so inclined to make a motion to adjust his morning hours, I would not be opposed to that.
I'll make a motion to allow Manning to, open at 10 a.m. in the morning, to give him some flexibility in his schedule and his customers that he's trying to serve.
Does he close at 2, Monday through Thursday?
He usually does, unless he has people up there. He'll stay open later if people are there.
And then we're open late Friday and Saturday. So 10 to 2 seem to be reasonable. I'll second that motion.
Roll call vote, please.
Collier,
Yes.
McCarron,
Yes.
Gardner, Smith,
Yes.
McMillan,
No.
Thomason, and Ulmer.
Okay, so the motion passes. If you'll let Manny know, he can start opening at 10. And then if he would come to our next commission meeting, we'll discuss future hours at that point.
Okay, I'll absolutely do that. Thank you.
Okay, Daniel, update from Summit?
All right, good afternoon. So as you can see from the numbers that I've sent you guys, we did pretty good on the increase up from September, 23% higher, normally around a 15% swing each month. So 23 was definitely good. And then down about that average back on avgas, but still a good number. 7,800 gallons is pretty good. I know ARH is very busy. That's where the majority of everything is going anyway, so looking good for them. Transient traffic for general aviation has been good. Operations seem to be pretty good. Even for people who aren't purchasing fuel, we're still getting a lot of foot traffic through. And then, again, going back to the jet sales, we are seeing a slight increase in the number of larger aircraft coming through, getting fuel. And of course, we've got more aircraft that are based at the airport now with Dr. Roller's hangar being opened up and full of jets. That's making a substantial difference for us as well, which I think is probably pretty well reflected in that number. So great to see there, expecting that to continue on for the foreseeable future. And then, again, I think it's been a few months, but I do still have a number of aircraft or people with aircraft that are looking to store larger planes, jets, King Airs, things like that. So as soon as more space opens up when somebody builds something, then I've got a list of people that they can go straight to, starting from day one. Just a quick touch on the flying and open house that we had a couple weekends ago. Had a lot of fun doing that. Very enjoyable. A lot of people came through. I'd say it was as successful, if not more successful, than the Springs fly-in and open house. Really enjoyed doing that. We got a bunch of positive feedback from that, and we're taking everything that we got, and we're going to mold it into something a little bit more doable for the next time we want to hold an open house. Really work off the wins, and then everything that we felt didn't really help anything. We're trying to get rid of that, narrow that down or eliminate anything. I know ARH was doing great for the helicopter rides, the tours. That was popular. So one of the things that we were going to try and capitalize on is how do we get more people in the air? I think that's for us, I think that's a really key attraction for the public from what I noticed. So really going to try and figure out what that could mean for the next event that we hold. Other than that, it's kind of business as usual for us. Nothing of note, unless you guys have any questions for me.
I was actually out of the state that weekend. I'm curious, I haven't heard a lot about it, but I'm curious about numbers? Do we have a total number, and was it pretty well spread out throughout the day?
I think between 700 and 900 people. It was pretty hard to gauge. I was trying to keep an eye on the foot traffic, and I had a couple people that were doing that as well. And best estimates, between 700 and 900 people.
I'd say that's a huge success.
Yeah, it definitely a huge success for sure. And maybe if we can go through it, maybe a ticketing thing where we can actually tally everybody who's come through. We'll know how many vendors are there, how many people with vendors, and how much foot traffic is actually there in the future. And then I'll have a solid 100%, what was coming through. Oh, and food donations and toy donations were amazing. Sent all the food and some financial donations over to Compassion NWA. They were ecstatic. They absolutely loved it. Invited them out to come take a look at the airport whenever they get a chance to. And Toys for Tots, very happy with all of the donations there. Still waiting on them to pick up those toys. I've got 2 giant boxes of toys in my office that I'm trying to get rid of. But it was really, really good to see the generosity of the public and little kids coming in. They, my wife took my son out to the store and got a special toy just for that. So, and I saw that loads of times on that Saturday. It was great to see. That's all I got.
Any questions for Daniel? Thank you, Daniel. Ernest is not here. I don't think he had anything to contribute today. Laura, with our operations report?
I don't have too much to report either. Everything's going good over there. We're busier than ever and just trying to keep everything under control.
Any questions for Laura?
Do you have anybody that, you're shaking your head at me, that's behind on rent or anything like that at this point in time? I was sitting here glancing at this.
I've contacted, there's only 2 or 3 names on there really, 1 or 2, or 2 maybe through the fence. But they've all been contacted, so. And then this is an old list, so I know Summit is on there at one point too, and we don't understand why they're on there, so we're trying to get it all resolved. But I mean, it gets less and less every time.
Yeah, good. I don't see much on here, so that's what I was asking.
Our backlog of people wanting hangers still big.
I think I'm at 97 on the enclosed list. There's people that say don't even put my name on because how many years, 35 years it'll be. If we literally have exchanged 5, probably the last 3 years, 5 hangers only each year. So if you're 98, how many 5s,
Guess we just need to keep building hangers.
So to that point, I talked to Laura about this a couple of weeks ago probably, and I don't know how to track this, who to talk to help track this. You would probably be someone that could help. But I'm wondering about tenants that are subleasing their hangars. I don't know if it's going on or not. I've had a couple of people come to me and say that it is, but when I ask who and where, I don't get any answers. And I don't know how you can keep up with that. Planes sell and they replace planes, and so tail numbers are not necessarily the way to go to track that. I don't know the answer to that. I guess more than anything, Daniel, you guys that are involved at the airport, just keep notice on that. And if you see someone that's in a hangar that shouldn't be there, bring that to the commission's attention so we can address it. And if we need to vacate them and open that hangar up, we will, or at least address them and let them know that obviously that in their contract, they are not allowed to do that. And then I just want to let you guys know, this is something else that I've been kicking around. I'm interested in looking to increase our rent rates. I've been looking at this for a few weeks now, a month or more probably. And we, as well as most airports in the area, are not collecting enough rent on our hangars. And it seems to me in years past, we're always the leader in that. We make an adjustment and everyone around makes an adjustment behind us. which is fine, but based off of square footage and I know a hangar is different than a business or anything else, but still yet, based off square footage, even from a storage unit, we're not collecting what we should be collecting. So we're gonna get some numbers for you guys to look at, and we'll break that down and discuss that over the next couple of months and see what, I think there's a 3-month period that we have to give notice anyway, so it's not next month that anything's gonna happen, but I would like to start kicking that around and getting you guys' opinions on that as well.
I can tell you, I rent a storage unit. My daughter, her household stuff's in there while her house is for sale. And I pay $281 a month, and it's 10 by 30 with a garage rolling door. So yeah, I think our rents are low. Everybody that asked me, they're like, oh, really? Well, that's cheap, so.
I don't know if anyone remembers, Steve, you might be able to help me. I think it's been 2 years since we last had an increase, 2 to 3.
May 22.
So that was 18 months ago? Yeah, it's a supply and demand deal. Make hay while the sun shines, I guess.
Okay, let's see, where are we? James is not here. Greg, Carver update.
Well, if I can interrupt again, to go back to that, because I don't think we've had one for 5 years before that due to COVID. So they were doing about every 3 or 4 years, I think. And then COVID happened, so that one got skipped, so that pushed it out about 5 years. So to do another one after 2 years might not be too unreasonable.
Of course, it's easy for me to say since I don't have a plane out there right now.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and get started. I have a really short update. That's why I won't be doing my whole screen share thing that I typically do. We've got 3 active projects and 1 new one that I'll talk about. The Taxiway B extension project. We were able to have our flight check this past Monday, and the Northern Pappies were able to pass that flight check. So that was kind of the last hurdle that we had to jump through in that project. Now we're just going to start the grant closeout process, which will take a couple more months just to have that back and forth. So I'm going to stop talking about that one just to bear you guys through that. The East Hangar construction project, this is another one that we're ongoing, just waiting on some closeout documentation from the contractor. Hopefully we can get that closed out this year. The Powell Hangar reconstruction project is the 3rd project that I mentioned on the list. There's been no real movement on this one over the last month. You know, we previously have got all of our funding lined up. Really what we're just waiting on now is for the contractor to be able to mobilize on site. And their construction start date is still targeting for January. So everything's still on track for that January construction that I've previously been discussing. Anything on those 3 projects? Okay. Then the one last.
Greg, sorry, I do.
Yep.
And maybe we're in the same position, I don't know. There was a question a month or more ago that you and I had addressed about the existing steel. Has that been approved? Does anything need done on that, or are we still in waiting?
Correct. That one is still in waiting. The contractor is, they're getting a third party to verify it. And so that's supposed to be happening right now. And actually the hangar building won't start construction until a little bit later. They're going to do a lot of the site work first in the year so that they can have pretty much good dirt, good gravel to be able to move all their equipment on rather than tracking through the mud for putting that building together. So we've got a couple months, I would say. I wouldn't expect the building to start going up until middle of February or March. The last project that I wanted to talk about, this is going to be a new one, I'm calling it the runway rehabilitation project, but this is the grooving installation. And so what this project's going to be, it's an FAA funded project. The FAA will cover 90% of it. The remaining 10% will get a state grant to cover the airport's match. So it'll be a no cost to the airport project. And it'll be, like I said, installing grooves, as well as we're going to go ahead and seal coat and remark the runway. The reason we're doing the seal coat is just because that's what the FAA likes to see, a rehabilitation to be able to grant funding for it. And so that's why we threw that seal coat in there. As far as the timeline on that project, currently we're in the early contracting stages. I'll actually bring an engineering contract to the December meeting to get approved. We'll design it early 2024, bid the project in May, and hoping to get construction in the summer and have it closed out by late summer is the plan on that one. But I'll have more answers as we get into January and really start to design and start the coordination on that project. It's really early stages for now. Any questions?
Do you know how long the runway would be shut down? Just curious.
I'm estimating right now about 9 days. And there are some things that we could do to maybe make that do some night work, or make it, hey, we'll close for 4 days, open for 4 days, close for 4 days. There are some ways we can work around that. I'd be really curious on your thoughts, or anybody on the commission's thoughts, just on the easiest way we could accommodate that construction.
I would say night work is our best option.
Yeah.
I don't know how affordable or easy that is to do. What was Bentonville? Didn't Bentonville do this not too long ago? How long were they down?
It was about the same amount of time. As far as the total length of construction, I'll have to talk to our people that worked on that project just to see how they phased it. But they had a runway widening project going on, I think at the same time, that may have already been closed or something like that. So let me talk to them, but 9 days is what I want to say is if we closed on day one, 9 days is what we need. But if we do night work, it might extend that a little bit longer, but that might be preferred if that's what I hear from you all. But I definitely won't be making any of those decisions without your input, so.
Anything for Greg?
Oh, yeah, one,
Yes, sir.
how do we get more hangars?
We are working towards that. I mean, I would say my recommendation is to, the ADA, the state has a 90-10 grant for a maximum of $500,000. They've increased that since the Powell hangar that we got. And that's just because of the fiscal year turning over when they announced that grant. I believe they announced that in November. And so I would say just taking advantage of all of your state grants that are available. And I think the second thing is prioritizing what we did with the east hangar and that apron that we did on the east side. I think if we could do another one of those taxi lanes and apron, and even if the airport doesn't, or the city doesn't build their own hangar, I think just opening up that space available for people like Roller or any of the other developers that want to come in and do it themselves. I think those are the two best options if we just want to start knocking down that list.
So you're saying the best place is on the east side there, next to that one, or is there room on the east side? Is there plans for anything on the west side?
So as far as what's going to be the least expensive, I think anything on this Powell development, I think is going to be really inexpensive, but I think all of those are spoken for. So we'll roll that out. All of the east hangar, the phase one stuff that we did, all of that I believe is spoken for as well. And so then I think the next ease of development, as far as for a developer to come in, is going to be that like a second phase of the east hangar there on the east side. But what that's going to be is probably a $400,000 or $500,000 project for the airport to do just for the apron and taxi lane. But like I said, that's something that we can do with a state grant, or we can program it in with FAA funding. But I will say that the FAA funding will probably be 2 or 3 years out, just because this grooving project kind of messed up our prioritization there.
What about,
I was going to say, what about the span hangars? Haven't we talked about those as possibly being a,
Yes, and
Sitting
so there is one spot for a clear span hangar. I don't even know how to describe it. They're off of Airport Avenue where it's making that 90-degree turn to the north. We could do a clear span hangar there, I think about 4 bays or so. That's another spot that's gonna be low cost as far as if we wanted to use that hangar grant that the state puts out, that'd be where I would use it. And then what I would do is use some of the other FAA grants or like the 80/20 grants that the state makes available to do that east side site work only. Excuse me.
And then don't we potentially also have an area where the new detention pond is going off of Powell to the south?
Maybe I will try to plug this in here. Let me see. I have I think this will just make our conversation a little bit easier. Let's see if this will work.
So one of the other problems that we've been running into, because we do have a few people that were interested in land leases, and we have a few small parcels inside the fence that could be built on when Greg and I have gone through them. But the problem is that there's no fire hydrants close enough. And that's, $80,000 on top of their build, and they're not willing to do that. So if we could figure out a way to get some sort of infrastructure grant or something to put that in ahead of time, then they'd build there in a heartbeat.
Greg and I have talked about that, and I've actually talked to the city, to the water department about that as well. There's some construction coming that maybe we can piggyback on to be able to extend some of that, but that's not going to be in the near future.
I'd also like to plant an idea into the committee's brain a little bit. Considering that the east side is the area that looks like maybe the best area to grow, considering that our aviation campus is right across the street, there could be a possibility in the future of working with NWTI and other benefactors in Northwest Arkansas to possibly build a hangar or two for a storage or maintenance or repair type shop or training that could also have space and also bring more people to the table to possibly help pay for it as well.
All right, I guess you guys can see what I've got going here. So things look a little bit different here now or currently than when we initially put this exhibit together. So I've got this, the Powell hangar is this one just, I guess I'll just zoom into it right here. This is the Powell hangar just to give you some perspective. The ClearSpan hangar that Cameron mentioned would be this one right here, and this would be a proposed hangar. Like I said, this is gonna be the easiest, or the most inexpensive hangar that the airport could build. Laura mentioned some of those locations that people are interested in, but have water service, fire suppression issues. Let's see. This big square one right here by the fuel farm is one of those. And then these two over here also have fire suppression issues. And so those are going to be less attainable for a developer to want to look at. Going to the east side over here, this is the current east hangar development. The city-owned hangar is this one in the top left right here. And so we've got space for pretty much to copy that same development 2 more times to the north. And that might feed into kind of what Jason was talking about, or, sorry, I was too busy trying to plug stuff in and kind of missed some of that conversation there, but.
Will you go back to the west?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, moving southeast of that detention pond.
Gotcha, okay. So, yeah, the green is the detention pond, and we actually were able to squeeze one more hangar into this spot right here that I'm kind of showing in red right now. And that hangar is we're about to go through large-scale development with that one with, I don't know who the lease is with, actually. Do you know? I can't remember it off the top of my head. So this one is already spoken for, but the ones that Greg, I believe, was talking about are these 4 right here, kind of near the maintenance shed. And I would say these are about maybe a little bit less attainable than the east side. We do have, the east side's really inexpensive to do because we already have water service and sewer service over there. These hangars right here, what we'd have to do is we'd have to build the taxi lane. We do have water service there already, but I think as far as, I don't know how to put it, but I think we'd be building a lot more asphalt and paying for a lot more site work in this area than we would on any of the east side locations.
At one time, we were looking at trying to buy that property that's right next door. It's mostly woods. There was a church on the other end of it or something.
It's still, they're still negotiating that.
Okay, I didn't know if we were still working on that or if it was a no-go deal.
And, I mean, as far as a long-term plan, we've got these shown as all T hangers, going up through that church property right now, and, I mean, that'd be the best way to probably knock out the list as far as, or the hanger waiting list as far as just utilizing the space most effectively.
I was gonna say, so on, just so everybody knows, on the clear span hangars right there, you know, those are of the size where you can fit sometimes 3 airplanes in those hangars. So he's got it illustrated with just one in there. But that means, you know, there's customers that are sharing that hangar, sharing the rent, other things like that. I don't know if we run into any issues there, but, and honestly, I haven't measured all that out, but I would think we could probably put 5 through there instead of 4, but.
Right.
Yeah, so parking outside the fence would be in that area right there because there's electric that runs underneath the ground and you can't put a building on top of that. Yep. And that would help accommodate the parking issues that Laura's been having in regards to some of these other T hangars that are just to the east there.
Any other questions for Greg? Anything else for us, Greg?
Is that sort of your master plan there then for everything?
This is our current master plan, yes, and like I said, it's a little bit outdated, just due to the one red hanger that we're showing here. I guess, and I know you guys asked the question about what we should do for hangers, but I'm assuming no action items yet, or do we want to try to come up with a priority list? I don't know, are you guys looking for any sort of solutions? I think is my question.
I'm just thinking income-wise, there's such a demand that, and if we raise the rates, I don't know how we can make it happen and not be able to afford it. It's just,
Yeah.
it seems like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think taking advantage of the state funding that's available every fiscal year, and 'cause they have, I think, 3 grants available. They'll have a 90-10 for the hangar, which is a $500,000 cap grant. So there you have a $600,000 hangar that you can build every year. And so I think this clear span hangar might be really close to that amount. Otherwise, you're looking at about probably a 60 by 60 hangar, maybe a 70 by 70. And then you also have the 80-20 grant and a 50-50 grant that you can do with the state. And those would be great for site development to help open things up for developers. And
I think a key is what we did before on the east side, getting that apron in ahead of time so those developers that come in don't have that expense. What kind of cost are we looking at? What did we pay on the last apron that we put over there?
I'm estimating the next one will be close to 500,000 for the apron and the access roads that are in there. I guess we'll also have to do some water line extensions as well. I say that the water is at the road, but we'll have to extend it to sit between the hangars. But yeah, I would say 500,000 is about where we'd be at.
I just go for all the grant money we can get and we can figure out where to put hangars. Or update your master plan to make it.
Right. What I can do is I can try to take this master plan and break it into grant-sized projects. And then maybe I can come back to you all and we can prioritize those based on either cost or based on, like you talked about, location. But I can try to do something like that. Like I said, I'll focus on the east side right here. We'll focus on the clear span hangar. I'm gonna leave the T hangars up there alone. I think that's probably too far off right now, especially because getting this taxi lane and some of these hangars will be a part of the critical path for getting there anyway. So I'll try to look at these 3 or 4 areas.
I just don't want to pass up on some of these grants and not be available,
I agree.
not be able to take advantage of them and always stay ahead of the game so that we're always prepared to move.
Yeah, and the state actually really likes seeing an airport like Springdale take advantage of those grants every year. And, if we told them that, the East Hangar, we started that project in 2020 and now maybe at the end of 2024, we could show that all 4 hangars are completed thanks to the site development that we did with their grant. They really like to see that kind of stuff, especially when they come out to tour the airport, things like that. So they like to see their money spent.
Well, I like to see us stay aggressive on this thing too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Perfect. I'll come back with, like I said, this plan with some dollar signs associated with it, and we can talk priority.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any old business to discuss? I have a couple of things here. So that the grooving, we need to be spreading the word on that. We're the only airport in Northwest Arkansas, well, of the major 4 that do not have the grooving. So we need to be spreading that word and let people know we're working towards that so they can rest easy knowing if they are here now or they want to come here, that we're going to have that for them. On the grass, Laura, we kicked that around last month, checking in on that with where the rocks were bleeding through. Has anything been done on that?
Greg said they're still waiting until the beginning of the year when their 1-year warranty's about to expire, then they'll go through and look at that again.
Okay. You got that on your radar then?
Yes, I think Micah mentioned it last time, and while we were talking about it with Mike, I went ahead and put a notice on my calendar. I think it's for March 1st or so when Laura and I can go out there and take a look at it. If the grass still hasn't grown, which I'm not expecting it necessarily to grow by then, we'll have them come out and reseed and pick up those rocks as well. And so I think it's just, we can't get grass to grow at this time of year anyway, so.
Just didn't want to miss the boat on that and forget about it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And then lastly, we will meet next month because of the grooving. We need to vote on that before the end of the year. But our meeting time would be, our normal meeting time is December 21st. Christmas then is a Monday, I guess. So if the commission would like, we can back that up a week to December 14th. Would that give you time, Greg, to have that ready for us?
Yes, sir.
What's y'all's take on that?
I'm okay with that, but I probably would not be able to attend because that's the same day as our Board of Directors meeting.
I'm good.
I'm good for December 14th.
Beth, will you send that out ASAP, maybe next week anyway, to the commissioners and let them know that we're planning on moving that and make sure nobody else is going to be in here that week? And that's what we'll plan on, so we don't interrupt folks going out of town on the 21st. Okay, comments from commissioners?
Yeah, I've got just a couple real quick. First of all, just Laura, if you can just let Manny know, my only reason for saying no on the earlier vote is I felt like we could have gone ahead and changed the hours to 11 because that's where most of the Mexican restaurants in Springdale start at 11. I perfectly understand if he wants to come back and we can address it next month and it can be changed to 11 o'clock, but I have no problems with changes, especially if business is slow. So I just wanted to make that clear real quick. And then second of all, I know we talked about this before the meeting, but Just like we're addressing the hangars, I feel like we also need to address the airport parking. Especially when we did, I know Cameron and Daniel have both mentioned to me about what the parking is during the day regularly, but we also saw during our event that parking was getting quite scarce. You know, I know it's something that's going to take time to develop and figure out ways to expand the parking lot spaces, but that may be something that we also, at the same time as we're talking about expanding hangars, trying to figure out where we're going to be able to have people park on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you for that. One last thing, Laura, you may be in the loop with this. The work on the sewer line, that's been moved to November 28th.
I hadn't heard the exact date, but yeah, they were out there. ESS was out there today. I think they have to raise the lids on it, so they were out working on that. So then they'll be ready to go, I think, by that time.
That's what, I think we talked about that last month, under the runway there. They're gonna bore that out and reseal it. So they're gonna set up on the east side of the runway. There's gonna be a truck over there for a few days while they're doing that. So if anyone asks, that's what they're doing. All
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we've had them out there twice, and there's been no issues. They've been really good to listen to us and do as they were told and that sort of thing. We've been out of the way, and everything's gone smoothly. The first two rounds, when they were cammering, so I don't expect any less with the next round.
Super. All right. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn.